Okay, have motion to reconvene open session.
Second.
Mrs. Mitchell, second Mr. Rivera, all in favor? Aye. No one opposed, motion carried. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Ms. Boswell Davies. Here. Ms. Graves. Here. Mr. Hamilton.
Here.
Ms. Mitchell. Here. Ms. Peru. Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
And we have, approval of the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda. Motion, Mrs. Mitchell, second Mr. Hamilton, all in favor? Aye. No one opposed, motion carried. Approval of minutes. Motion, Mrs. Mitchell, second Mr. Rivera, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried, no one opposed. And we have some recognitions tonight.
We do. So the first recognition we have tonight is for our Board of Education. We're proud to join communities across New York in celebrating School Board's Recognition Week from October 13th to the 17th. That's a little different than what my email said today, but it's all within the same week. We honor and recognize our Board of Education members for their steadfast dedication to children, learning, and the community through their vision, leadership, and countless hours of service. They champion excellence in our elementary and secondary public education and support the continual pursuit of improvement and progress in our schools. Our board members play a vital role in responding to the educational needs of our community. Their thoughtful governance strengthens the New York State education system and helps shape a brighter future for our children. We extend our deepest gratitude for education and for their commitment, leadership, and service in the Peru Central School Districts. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Open for each one of you as you leave today, so we appreciate that.
The other thing too is let's recognize too, this is October is principals
Yep.
recognition month.
It
The
is.
whole month. They get a whole month.
They get a whole month, and I did send out some information to our community and to our staff as well.
Right.
Work that they do.
And that's not limited just to principals, associate principals, the directors, the supervisors, and so on. So congratulations. We wouldn't do a lot of things without all the hours and dedication that you also put in. So thank you so much. Okay, public comment. I had nothing on the email. Nobody signed up. So we'll hear from Ms. Grace.
Good evening, Mr. Storms, administration, and board members. The high school student council has been extremely busy with planning this year's homecoming. This is a favorable event as it incorporates the entire district, all grade levels, and buildings actively participate in spirit. It is a week of unity, school spirit, and Peru pride. This year, our theme is Pixar movies. Each high school class will be transforming their halls into a decorated oasis based on their hall theme. They will also be decorating the windows in our high school cafeteria. Seniors have chosen Finding Nemo, juniors have the movie Inside Out, sophomores have Monsters Inc., and the freshmen will decorate like Toy Story. We are looking forward to our parade and having the primary and intermediate students celebrate with us. A lot of planning, time, and work goes into pulling it off. We appreciate the support of all administrators and staff members in making this memorable event happen. Also, this year we are hosting the first Powder Puff flag football game the morning of homecoming. Powder Puff football kicked off in 1945 at Eastern State Teachers College in South Dakota, right after World War II. With so many men away at war, women had to step up in schools, jobs, and even on the football field. The first game was played during homecoming, and it sparked a tradition that spread across the country. Instead of tackle, flag football made it safe, but still full of action. Today, the tradition lives on with the juniors facing off against senior girls taking the field, while the boys step in as coaches. What started as a way to celebrate pride and teamwork after World War II has grown into a spirited tradition that brings students together year after year. This homecoming Powder Puff football game is making its debut on our very own Avenue. The game will be played on Saturday, October 25th at 11. Our student body is super excited for this inaugural event. Thank you.
And when the parade is, like,
Yeah.
the 24th? Thank you very much. Super.
off with a public hearing, which is kind of an odd place to put it, but we're going back and having a conversation about district-wide emergency response. We had taken it up with a new amendment that we had to put in, which was on cardiac response. And so we followed all of their regulations, and Cory Humer has also looked at it. You see that the board sees that, and it's also out for in board docs for the community. We just have to open it up for another month, and then we'll have to approve this one in December because our meetings come back at us in November. So there's nothing really too exciting to talk about there, but if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer now, or we can talk about it again in our next meeting. The next part of it that I'd like to talk about is the recognition of an exciting piece that we talked about last year, and so we actually have Greg Badger here who finished the mural. Greg, do you want to say a few words about the mural and the process that you did?
Sure. Wendy Paul and myself worked on a grant to get the funding for this, which hopefully is the beginning of a larger project, which focuses on the historical happenings in the area. This happens to be an image that was taken from a plane, probably in the 1940s, of the base of the origin of what is it called? The Peru Central School Districts. So this is like the humble beginnings. We had looked at a lot of information about one-room schoolhouses. There's been extensive research, but not really anything having to do with when the school system became centralized. So that was kind of the thought going into this project. And what was really interesting about working off that photograph is trying to figure out, because there's the building is up on a hill. So all of the pathways are slightly skewed. So it didn't use a straight edge because it's a little higher up. Also, the central part of the main building, there are those four they almost look like chimneys. The ones in the middle are slightly taller than the ones on the wings.
Yeah.
So there's all these little tiny details that, this can't be right, and went and looked at the school and go, okay.
Well, Greg, thank you so much. It looks great.
Notice there's no roadway. The roadway didn't come until, I want to say,
And notice what else isn't there, Mrs. Berry, the cafeteria.
no cafeteria, the one that fell down, yes. The one that fell in.
So we're going to be talking later in the agenda about its potential locations. So we'll talk a little bit later about that. But thank you, Greg. It does look
thank you.
great, and,
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
I was thinking that those two wings on the end had to come in the very beginning, but they must have been there when that photograph was taken.
Yeah.
We are talking right now, doing some district planning in regards to how we do an unveiling of this and some other things.
Yeah,
In regards to the history of that particular building and that particular piece in the Peru community. So stay tuned for that. Just around the corner, we'll have a little more information for you.
Thank you, and thank you for pursuing some more of the donations.
The other piece that I wanted to make note of is the work Mrs. Berry spoke of our principals and our administrators, the work that they've done. I also want to recognize that they've seen a report today, will be a little bit later in the agenda about the strategic goals, and I thank them all. They worked as a team and worked together to talk about how we can also turn our action steps into goals, and those I will see there are SMART goals, and they'll be reporting out on those SMART goals 2 times, one time mid-year and then one year. So those are within your reports. You'll have a little bit more information as we go on. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you very much for that. And that's pretty much all I've got for tonight. Okay.
Angie.
Okay, I'll try and make it quick. As we enter the 7th week of school, teachers are well immersed in their curriculums. PAT staff are continuing to not only build the academic growth of their students, but also their social emotional well-being. PAT is appreciative of all the administrative support and guidance across the district. We would also like to acknowledge Mr. Storms and his collaborative efforts with us in creating a new library aide position. The PAT liaison team looks forward to engaging in future collaborative pursuits whenever the need arises. In closing, as we celebrate Administrative Awareness Month, PAT extends its heartfelt thanks to all of our administrators. Their daily dedication, leadership, and unwavering support for both students and staff play a vital role in our district's success. We appreciate all that you do. As part of Board of Education Appreciation Week, we would also like to extend our sincere gratitude to all of you. The members of the Peru CSD Board of Education. Your dedication, voluntary leadership, and ongoing support are vital to the success of our students, staff, and the entire school community. We truly appreciate your commitment to making Peru CSD a place where the whole student is valued.
Thank you very much. Okay. Admin reports, correct?
Yeah, so the first one's gonna be our professional development plan, and so everybody's going to give each one of us.
So in the board docs, you have a copy of the plan, the full plan, and then I put together some slides to just consolidate once I'm done. So this is all of our district vision, mission. We have a district tagline. This is, we talked about a strategic plan this summer, and then some students gave their input to from the future district plans. We will need to update and get our punctuation accurate. It's going to be a comma, it can be a period. So a district professional development plan, according to the research, professional learning is the leading indicator that impacts student performance. It's important that our plan is aligned with all of our plans, our strategic plan, our ESSA plan, our grants, our SEP plan in the middle school. Now we have a new IEA designation. So we've taken all of those plans and consolidated them together to make sure we don't have 5 different plans, but all different ones, so making sure that all of our plans align and are intersected. The NICED requires that we have a plan every school year for 180 days, and it can be an annual plan or a 5-year plan. This year we're reviewing it, we're just doing a year plan, but we're hoping that next year, now that we have a solid bones, that we'll do a 5-year plan and just review it and update it. So we have a professional learning committee here. The superintendent is usually there, and I'm on the plan team as well. The majority of our folks must be teachers, school administrators, curriculum specialists, and then also a representative from higher ed. And we didn't have a representative from higher ed this year, but next year, Michelle Val, who is actually a staff member and a staff member of the city of Plattsburgh, is going to be on it. This was the group that served on our committee last year. It has changed a little bit for the upcoming year. Just because people, they have, like PM schools, is the reason why people, they had to change because their meeting days are on certain dates. So the folks that participated last year, it helped. So in our plan, you'll see lots of language that is just required to be in there, the New York State Learning Standards, who's on the committee, different structures that we have in place for collaboration within our district, ideas for professional development, and some goals. And over on the right side, you'll see our 4 main goals, and they align, they should look familiar, they look very close to our strategic plan. Engaging learning environments, strengthening tier 1 instruction, supporting educator growth and development, and communication. And Mr. Arnold added SMART goals for those. In the plan, what's required, suggested trainings, professional learning dates and topics, and unique information, partners for professional learning that we have to date. Meeting dates last year, this year. After the board adopts the plan, they will submit it to
This year, we will be having a regional staff development day, March 20th. That's the first time in a very long time, so we're bringing that back. But also, BOCES has a regional effort on brain-based teaching and learning strategies this year. So we have a team of about 10 people that have been attending, and it's a series of learning with successful practices and Bill Daggett's group and Linda Jordan, Dr. Linda Jordan. Principals attend monthly principal and director meetings at BOCES. Any outside conferences that are perfect for attending folks can attend those, and we are all afforded an opportunity to attend some leadership conference. So this year, we usually attend the last one, but there was also another edition this year with the New York State myself and some leadership from organizations. So let's go to that as well. Our next steps will be to finalize our committee for this next year. We're just about, we have participants, so we need one more. We'd like to create a learning plan for our non-instructional staff, so that they also have a learning plan to work toward. Continue to ensure that anything that NYSET is rolling out, we're going to graduate and starting to learn more about what do those alternative pathways look like, how can we get more learning on that, making sure that we're moving toward interdisciplinary learning and engaging with project-based learning, problem-based learning, place-based learning. You'll see in one of our next presentation, the focus really is on application. It's not on content any longer, it's on how can students apply this to the real world. So that's a shift from the past. And just making sure that all of our leaders and our teachers are getting the customized individual support they need, while also getting the individual needs. Any questions? It's really exciting.
I think it is exciting.
It is exciting.
It is exciting. We talked about professional development quite a bit, and it's also the same. I love the SMART goals, particularly the fourth one, which is about confidence and advertise. So much we have folks attending professional development, there's a lot to be like, is it actually having an impact on that? So I think especially with the 5-year plan, thinking about like it's exposure, awareness of the content, it's confidence, I understand the content, like and then like impact on my student body, right? That what I've picked up in this program is actually now happening in that program, and like my students and my students. So I'd love to see us continue to develop those and be always keeping understanding the next students.
And really giving people the time to practice whatever it is that they're learning, right? Like, you can learn it today, but maybe you're going to be able to do it tomorrow, so that's important time to.
And safely, right? Like you'll fail, like you're learning new stuff, there's gonna be missteps, right?
We always tell kids that failure is part of the process, but I don't think there are many of us as adults that enjoy that process. Right? So embrace it for sure.
In fact, we have a copy of the plan too.
Yes, the plan is there. We're just trying to condense it. They like to have all the standards. There are some
Yeah,
things
no,
they
that was
have.
good. No, everything right there.
Moving on to the next one. So now, all of us are going to have a joint effort at providing some initial data review from our New York State testing program, 3.8, ELA and math, also in science, and also our regents exams. This year, we also added, we haven't really reported on it before, the NICETL, which is the New York State identification test for our English language
third and fourth grade overall. Fifth grade dropped a little bit, but what's nice about this is you are able to look at the cohort as a whole and how they've maintained their same level of proficiency throughout the years. When we look at the school as a whole, third, fourth, and fifth grade for ELA, we had about a 2-point increase in our proficiency in ELA from last year to this year. In math, our math is a little bit different color. We've shown a lot higher proficiency in math over the years. Same thing, third grade had a nice jump. Fourth grade had a little bit of a dip, but maintained their same level of proficiency from year to year. And same with fifth grade. Another thing to look at when we're looking at the cohort from year to year is our participation rate. This impacts our overall proficiency. For third grade, we've hit 98 participation for both ELA and math. Our goal is to hit 95% participation, so we've exceeded that goal. Fourth grade, we're sitting at about 90% for ELA and math, and then fifth grade, we're sitting around, we go from 86 to 88 to 89 for ELA, math, and science. Our overall math scores for the building stayed relatively stagnant between year to year, so we're maintaining the same level of proficiency that we have last year to this year, even though it's a different group of students that we're looking at. And then our science group, we had about a 2% increase in our proficiency from last year to this year. This is a new assessment for us, so we're still learning the quirks with that. Another thing that we're facing is moving from paper-based testing to computer-based testing. We moved fourth grade last year, and then third grade will be moving this year from paper-based to computer-based testing. So there's a learning curve for the students that goes along with that as well. Our goal is to increase proficiency from between 5 and 10% across all grade levels for all subject areas. And our action plan to do that is we've changed our instructional model a little bit to allow more consistent time for ELA and math blocks so they're not broken up throughout the day. In our multi-tiered systems of support, we have supports at tiers 1, 2, and 3. As many know, we've added a new ELA curriculum, so we have Benchmark Advance. That's been a big undertaking for our teachers. Through that, we've added new universal screeners. At third grade, we've added the phonics universal screeners. We're testing every student to get their phonics levels. At fourth and fifth grade, we've done a spelling assessment as a universal screener, and then added the phonics piece on if they have indicators on that spelling assessment. We're adding zones of regulation lessons at all levels 3 through 5, so students are better able to manage their emotions and regulate through those, especially during high stakes testing. We're looking at instructional strategies from John Hattie, so high impact practices, as well as practices through the neuroscience workshops that have been offered at CBES for increasing family engagement. We're looking to leverage our resources through the IDEA designation that we've received, and we're also utilizing the WIN block and using those universal screeners to group students based on their need and providing targeted interventions. It's what I need, so every student is getting a targeted intervention that's supporting their growth. So just because most third grade students see this doesn't mean that's what every third grade student needs, so they're broken into groups, so they're getting exactly what they need for that 40-minute block of time.
So if they need enrichment,
They get enrichment. If they need remediation, then they're getting remediation.
any questions for Supervisor?
It's actually, well, it's 55 at all grade levels.
Okay.
We have benchmarks with other districts that we're comparing this data to.
They don't release that at this time. We'll get it later in the year, but they don't.
So
You
we-
have access to it
whatever.
at BOCES, but we don't get access to it because people need to review that data with their own teams first before it's released.
We have previous years.
Yes. We have the previous years of like the BOCES average. Does that answer your question? You want to see where we're falling?
Well, and I'd like to, for us to dig in and compare and contrast it, where other districts are ahead of us, either in scores or progress, what are they doing? If those teams understand what's something that they're doing differently in their district, what they're advantage of. And if there's other districts that are struggling, how does it their way?
And BOCES has put together like curriculum groups together, so they have ELA and math this year, so folks can go to those meetings too and
we
No,
always
total.
get, yeah, and we always get that, yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
get it, we get
some-
it in the
next
spring, right?
month or two.
We haven't presented.
Yeah,
They usually do the, oh yeah, BOCES will come, but they usually give us like a full.
oh, I was thinking of something.
All right, so middle school data, you're gonna see very similar charts. I just want to point out, like, our ELA proficiency trends were pretty good. Compared to ELA math, ELA did a little bit better than math did. So just to give you an idea, when you look diagonally, you're talking about the cohort of kids. So this is grade 6 from 3 years ago, where they steadily moved up as far as the amount of students that were proficient. And last year, 7th grade, there was also a little bit of a bump. And last year, 6th grader had they were the highest of the 3 grades. So ELA, we feel like, is moving in the right direction. This just gives you a little bit of an idea of, again, how students have moved. So the idea is to shrink that red box, which we did by a few percentage points, which allowed us to bump up on the proficient side. So you can see that 2024 data compared to last year's data. So math, like I said, we didn't do quite as well. Again, when you're talking about following a cohort, like last year's 8th graders, for the most part, dropped a little bit. The one thing I will say about this 41% is that it does not include our advanced students. So you have about 25 students that are likely in that proficiency range, that 3 and 4, that would probably bump this number up a little bit because they take the Regents instead of taking the state test. 7th grade, a little bit of a drop. However, the 6th grade put up a pretty good number, 53%. So I'm definitely excited to see what they do in the next couple of years. This is just a look at the grade 6, 7, and 8. Again, we're looking to shrink that red box, which we did by a few percentage points, bumping up our proficiency about the same amount. 8th grade, so this is a big jump. And again, I think Casey just related, this is a new test. So the first year it came out, there was a lot of talk about the test. So whether this is, it's hard to say whether this is a true jump of the test changed that much, or the science teacher seeing now what was on it, having a better idea of preparing our students. But that was quite a significant jump, going from 17% proficient to 44, almost 45. You can see that again, really, and not really the scale, because those 2 red boxes look the same. In other words, we dropped about 20% in the non-proficient and the proficient side for science. That's just our 8th graders that take the science.
Those blue green boxes much better.
Correct. We definitely want them on the right side. So.
Is that all 8th graders are taking it? Because you still have accelerated science.
So again, you're talking about probably that same 25, 26 kids that take the Regents instead of the science sides. And then I just gave one additional slide that the elementary didn't have because middle school was identified specifically for scores with students with disabilities. I just wanted to give you an idea. Again, at ELA, when you're looking at that cohort, we are making small gains. So we didn't have anybody that was proficient when they were in 6th grade. We moved up to 3.23 and 3.57 last year as last year's 8th graders. This year's 8th graders, which was last year's 7th graders, they did move from 10.34 to 13.33. And last year's 6th graders, which is like 7th graders, 6.25 as far as efficiency in ELA. Math, again, there is that struggle. You can see the math is, for the last year's 8th grader, did kind of follow the same pattern. However, 7th graders did make a jump from 7.41 to 12.12. And that 6th grade class put up a pretty solid number, at least comparatively speaking. 13.79 efficiency. So, overall, look at the data, we're moving the needle in the right direction. We're obviously focused on moving those students over to the right side to gain proficiency. In ELA, we had a net gain of 9 more students in 2025 compared to 2024. math, we moved 6 more students over, and in science, you saw that big jump. We moved from 1948 students up proficient in that test. So we're going to continue to use data meetings. We just had Stephanie Sorbo come to talk with our teams and spend about 35 minutes with each team reviewing the data. So she gives us a packet and breaks down test questions, so it was a really good meeting for each one of our core teams. They were for last week. We've got a literacy coach that's coming in to help us about 8 to 10 times this year, just to help us again identify where some of those students that are scribing readers, where we can hopefully make some improvements. And we're going to continue to use Panorama to track the interventions that we put in place and see what kind of
Any questions?
I think that science piece, it was really the format of the test too. People were so unfamiliar with the format of that eighth grade test. That probably has something to do with that local area.
you took the skills portion right out of it and strictly
Yeah.
a reader writing test.
Yes.
It used to be really fun too, right? Like,
Oh, it used to be hands-on.
Yeah.
They took that all out.
There's no more hands-on.
No,
That's too great.
no.
Are you still seeing a lot of people opt their children out for the state test?
So we made, I would say last year we fell again a little bit. We had a really good improvement in 2024 where we had, I think Casey mentioned 95% rate as a goal. We were right in the mid-90s. That fell a little bit last year. We had more students than the previous year without that. So it does impact, as it moves them over to the non-proficient because you know the school.
It's nothing like it used to be, right?
Correct, yeah.
Like like you said, we don't want, our students are more than test score. This test score also, these tests, with Mrs. Sorbo coming and doing the data analysis, really digs into where we have voids and deficiencies in our curriculum pieces too. So it's important to do that. You can't get that message out to parents. We try for years.
But your comment on the cohorts following kids from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, seeing those schools that just math had pretty similar. They were consistently getting 52, 50%. Fall that way for the years. Have we done any analysis what is different about that cohort of students that seems to consistently outperform
So Stephanie's, a lot of Stephanie's analysis is on the standards, so like where our kids are struggling, what standards are they struggling with, where are they struggling from the same standard from 5th grade to 6th grade to 7th grade. She can go back and show us, we can look at the test questions, see where like what distractors are taking away from students selecting the correct answer. So a lot of it is based on that. I'm sure we could ask her to do something like that. That would obviously require a little more time.
It's just interesting to see the contrast of students.
Well, are they students who have more consistent instruction in the classroom?
Yeah.
Or is it possible to admit that it's cool to move off or to be intentional? Is that?
Thanks, Jim.
Regents exams. ELA teachers decided to move, to make an effort to take the Regents exams in January in ELA rather than June. And last year was good, and even got better this year. So another good job from our ELA department. You can see regionally that if you take a look at the data going from 86 to 87, it's really good years in the past. The exam has changed since then, and you'll see versus the region, they're doing pretty well. Algebra 1, again, against the region did really well. Algebra 2, if you remember last time we did this, we had we had a little bit of a better result from them, but at the same time still very comparable to the region. Geometry, this is where there was a change in the standards, a change in the test format. And our geometry teachers were really, they kind of took it hard last June. And we are going to respond to that. We'll get to that with our takeaways once we get to that slide. But you will see in the regions in geometry is where we need to focus more. You'll also see Algebra 1. Again, this new exam that occurred last year, hovering there, but still has some work to do. Earth and Space Sciences, this was a new exam. This is important to note, 9 out of 15 districts administered the new Earth and Space Science Regents exams. We were one of them, and this is probably one of the best responses to a new test and curriculum that we can highlight. They did extremely well. And when we get to takeaways, I'll get into some more details on that. New Biology Regents exam. 8 out of 15 districts. We're seeing that this was a big hit to our students, this particular change in exam and our response to it. We know we have a place to work on. But if you look at maybe some of the other Biology Regents exams, the ones who did take the old exam did have better results in those 7 neighboring districts. Chemistry, kind of lower than, again, the other schools at CVES. But a solid score. I know it doesn't look terrific under 70, but that is difficult. And then here are our science exams. When you look at each one brought out individually versus CVES, and I think our science teachers would agree that there's some growth that needs to happen in our biology. And what you'll notice over here too is you'll still see a Regents Living Environment exam. For us here in Peru, I think that was one student who still needed to take that exam, so that data can be available. Because you can offer both. That student who took that exam in previous years is eligible for either exam, but since there was familiarity and we focused our remediation on that exam for that particular student, we had that exam. U.S. History, some good results in U.S. History. The exam changed 2 years ago. Global History, we have some growth there. That's fine. Thank you, Shannon. You're good. Global History, we had some growth there. Global History, that exam also changed 2 years ago. So our teachers are they are responding to some of these changes that are coming out from the state. And you'll see some growth and, compared to the region, on or about what we can expect from our schools. Okay, so takeaways. Regionally, by and large, on average, we're ahead or close to the mean. Global History showed some growth, as you saw. Earth and Space Sciences showed a great response to a new standard and format. And what we're gonna do with that is, I think a takeaway from that is we have a strength here right at Peru High School. So what are they doing in the sciences that maybe can help some of these other areas? And we'll get back down to that once we talk about the 25, 26 actions. Biology, there needs to be addressed. There's not a biology teacher in the school who says that there isn't. And working with the earth science and the science department to see some of the approaches that they've taken is going to be a concerted effort on our part. ELA increased once again. They have a good thing going. We have a nice blend there of an experienced teacher and a newer teacher, and they really work well. And then geometry, a needed response to new standards and test format. So things that we have been doing, as you heard from the other principals, continued integration and expansion of market MTSS interventions at all tiers. Last year we really dove into tier 1, but I think we're all getting more comfortable approaching tier 2 and tier 3 interventions. Common teaching pedagogical approaches to solid instruction, Pocket PD. We had one of those workshops today. Our science teachers made a concerted attempt to pair up with ELA teachers and worked on, I went in with one teacher today who was working on Socratic circles and how can they bring that to a science classroom. So again, and then again, continued tier 1 integration of support. Actions that we kind of teased out of all this. Focused efforts and PD on literary skills. I think that's one of the things that these tests are growing in, and our teachers are agreeing. They are, yes, there's a content focus, but they are literary reading exams just as much as they are a content exam. A focus on application of skills over content as well. That may sound like maybe almost redundant. Isn't skill part of the content? Well, a lot of our students, they're coming to us with a struggle with reading a ruler or so on and so forth. Those are skills that you might take for granted at a high school level. And we have to make a focus on making sure that those skill foundations are built. This came out of a teacher visits to other classrooms in the school, came out of a survey last year for PD, what they would like. Like we had said earlier, we have some strength. So we don't necessarily need to, we will, because that's another one of the things we'll do. We don't necessarily need to take a trip down the road if we have, I'll go out on a limb on that earth science, with the number of kids that we have that take the earth science exam compared to the others, I'll bet that we're going to be, when we get that in-depth report, I bet we're going to be up there in the top 5.
And the entire state is complaining about better science regions.
Yeah.
And we did really well.
Our teachers did well.
94%.
Yeah.
Proficient. I don't know where else that is.
We can't be so close-minded to think that everything's perfect right here where we are. So we're going to try to find some off-site visits to specific areas of neighboring schools, in continued partnership with CPES and the workshops that they offer, with all of the Regents exams and standards and so on and so forth. Continued work with Garth Larson, I didn't put that up here, but that continued work I think is important. And then trying to power up our Tier 2 integration of support as per our MTS.
Question?
For the ones that didn't pass the Regents like in June, were they able to go out to schools to take the Regents in August? How would a parent go about?
The parent would call our counselor, and then our counselor would the parent would have to call that school to see if the school, and we helped them with that. The counselor sometimes called the school. I made a couple of calls. I think the hard part about it was that was part of our budget crunch last year. And just having a process, finding a school that will take you. You can call, but they might not say, yeah, of course. It's just another, I don't want to call it a liability, it's just another thing to manage for their school when they have their own to worry about. But Osceola was a good partner for us and offered geometry for many kids and biology. Thank you.
Nice to see a lot of green.
So the Nicetel assessment, that's that identification. We had 2 students take it last year. And you can see by the one student, and they were both kindergarten students actually. So one scored at the entering level and the other scored at the emerging level. And that would determine the level of service that you have to be able to provide. Let's see. And the Nice SLAT, that's the one that they take in the spring, the proficiency. So we had 6 students take it at that point. And 50% of our students were in expanding, so that means that they're doing really well. So it doesn't take long once they get into the program for some services. This year we have 13 students that will require behavioral services. But last year we had 2 students in the high school and one completely transitioned out of services and passed the Regents exam. So that's quite an accomplishment for our tax coach. These tests are done on any New York State alternate assessment, so that is for
So, good evening. We wanted to follow up on a conversation that we had during one of our district communication meetings back in September. Some of the feedback from those on the committee was that we as a district would like to increase our presence on social media in regards to sharing photographs of students and accomplishments of students and those types of things. It was something that we had held off on in the past based on some feedback we received from the data privacy group at Albany that we work with. They kind of advised that we have some type of documentation that the board would support if we wanted to increase our efforts in those areas. So there was a document that we drafted and provided the board, which we're open to feedback on, obviously. But the presentation here is just going to give a few kind of objectives and rationale and what we want to make sure we're protecting data privacy. So the main objective, we want to be able to celebrate our student achievements and showcase meaningful learning that's happening across our campus. We want to do this on district managed social media platforms, our district-wide Facebook page, Instagram, which are the two biggest pieces. We also share some content, obviously, on Parent Square and the district website. We want to do this in a way that makes sure that we're holding a very high standard of student privacy and safety and professionalism within what we post and how we post it. Rationale. We are looking to strengthen our community connection. Everyone in the community loves to see photographs of kids doing great things. This is done from the classroom to artwork to athletics. And we want to make sure that we share their creativity and the hard work that the students are providing and the work that the teachers are doing to foster pride and engagement across our entire school community. We also want to make sure we're promoting trust and transparency. Families see positive learning experiences that are happening across our campus. It just makes us feel good about what's going on. Where they're sending their children to us for 6 hours a day, and we just want to really promote the positive piece of that. On the other side, we want to make sure we're ensuring privacy and compliance in alignment with New York State's Law 2D. That's the internal data privacy policy that we hold, within our own internal policies. But our general goal there is to safeguard all student information. Some guiding principles in the document that you'll see. Student safety and privacy first. We're not going to be sharing a collection of personally identifiable information. So this would be 2 or more personal pieces of information on students. So we could do a first name, but we're not going to do a first name, last name, and grade level. Something along those lines. The goal is we are avoiding the ability to collect different pieces of information to form an online likeness. So we've been told that we can do this in small chunks, but we don't want to have a lot of personal information in one space where that likeness could be created. So we're going to be very kind of safety conscious. And that was one reason why, if you've been monitoring our Facebook page, I've seen a ton of student content out there. It's because we want to be really careful with the pictures that we're sharing. That's a big piece. Consent and opt-out. Only students with media consent will be featured. This is a form that goes out to all parents across the district. We get parent feedback, and then those students go on the list, and they stay out of our district publications. So off Facebook, Instagram, website, those types of things. Professional oversight. Only authorized staff may post content to ensure accuracy, appropriateness, compliance, consistency. So we have a handful of folks across campus that have access to our Facebook page as a big piece, and even a smaller group with access to our Instagram page. And so a lot of that we work with our relationship with CBS as well, which we do have one CBS employee on campus 1 day a week, which is now Amelia Stevens. So she works with me to produce some of that content. The nice thing with that arrangement is everything's vetted before it goes out. There's always a meeting that takes place so we can really make sure that information is accurate and appropriate. General commitment. By adhering to a set of guidelines and principles, the district will celebrate student success responsibly, build community pride while protecting every student's privacy, which is the goal. But there are amazing things that are happening across our campus on a daily basis, and I would love to be able to promote that more.
So the district's the only one that's going to be posting this, so can individual teachers post on their individual personal pages, student information?
We definitely advise against that in our ed law training. So, posting content on personal social media, not something that's obviously advised. There are ways to go about it that have been suggested, so if you do want to post specific student work, you can do it in a way where you're not sharing student information. If they're working on an activity, you can take a picture from the side, maybe it's just a hand, no name in the image, that type of stuff, if they're really looking to share some great ideas. But we give some guidance on that.
Just want to make sure that this is.
And we do have an expectation document as well. Like once this position, once we get the position paper approved, then we'll reshare some of that guided document and suggestion, that type of stuff.
Is there any information to parents, let's say a parent who supervises or chaperones an activity, and they photograph activities, children, whatever, and they put it on their personal page, but as representatives of the school, is there any kind of instruction or?
I think that's something that we could probably work into this document specifically.
That becomes an issue I can see down the line.
I agree.
Especially if there's a family that opt out, and then that child is in a class and there's a picture all over the place because mom took it, put it on her site.
I agree. And I've seen some instances of those types of things happen.
You see it a lot with the athletic events.
Yeah, you
So that's
do.
a public facing thing again.
No, a person, parent takes pictures and then they put it on their own Facebook page or social media.
I think when it comes to, teachers, what's happening during the school day, we have a nice guided document, we
Yes.
share our expectations, it's monitored on our district-specific platforms. It's just a great start, and that's also a good topic of conversation.
To Sarah's point, they're chaperoning, it's not like during the school hours, during the school.
It is during the school activity.
Well, their school hours.
So that may be something, it's really good with chaperone.
Once again, it's not illegal to take a picture of anybody, like,
Right.
so I mean,
It's one of those things I think that we can bring up, I think this is a great step. First step, we've talked about communications complete, and how would we address those larger events, for example, sporting events.
I don't know the
this is
question
a-
controllers.
I think that I think that the communication can talk a little bit more about that, and see what area they want to go down in regards to additional pieces. But I do think that this does address what the communication committee is looking for, is a little bit more presence, if you will, on some platforms.
I think to the end is there, I think we said those things. I think these are good, like the boundaries and rules to CSD, is there's encouragement on specific activities to move. So like helping, like the ones with more setting, crowdsourcing, centers with content, getting that clear shot, giving our teachers like encouragement to like look for those opportunities because we need that content for our social business.
We do share a form that goes out to our teachers to be able to submit and what content we're looking for them to submit. But it's always good.
And our partner from CBS also will
Walks the bill.
walks the building, and some of the teachers looking, glad you're here, I want you to see this. She's a little bit more savvy in regards to how to take a picture, how to do it. So staff members are really good as well. Follow those places.
Yeah, you also want a good quality shot. So definitely you enhance it. So it's one of those things where we do get some good content, but if anything, content comes in, Amelia knows where to go to get a different, like if it's up on the wall, she knows she can go to that location and get a picture of it and still highlight the scenes there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Communications, are there any questions? Reports and communications.
Just a comment on there was a number of building share goals and I know it's
Oh, yeah.
previously, I was super happy to see some of the smart goals in there. Specifically, like there are some in the middle schools like increasing positive responses by 10% and exceeding like state goals by 5%. There intermediate building, it was a 5% improvement on annual conditions. High school wanted to improve community survey satisfaction 10%, and those are also kind of, if we nail this initiative, all these activities can happen. So it's just big kudos and thank you to the teams for putting together.
I thought really very, very helpful to see the goals in that format and consistency in it, so thank you very much. Two people, did we all got a copy of the NYSERD piece tonight? That's something very important to look at. I read it online, a lot of information in that on that. Certainly is something to look at in today's world. Anything else, any other questions? But yes, compliments to all the district goals, and then we'll have another report mid-year and then another report at the end.
Yep.
So that's good. That was one of our strategic plan pieces we want to see. Okay, then, have a motion to approve reports of communications A through I, except for A through I. Mrs. Mitchell, second. Mrs. Graves, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, new business, anything on new business? Really, thank you for the amazing donations that we have from Dallas Silver and Northwestern Mutual. Looks like exciting things to happen with the Dallas Silver one, so nice. Yeah, great. Any other questions or comments?
What did we purchase with the Dallas Silver?
The invoices are still coming back, but a lot of it was just classroom supplies. They can see their annual commitment they have. A lot of people looked at like cozy corners and like just creating safe spaces in the classroom for the kiddos. And for what I've seen mostly coming in is a lot of art supplies, additional commercial things in the classroom.
It was like 10, was it 10 classrooms?
It was 6.
6 classrooms,
Yeah,
yes, that was
six
nice.
classrooms we were new to the school district or into that discipline area. We're able to kind of help.
That's nice. Very interesting.
It's a great opportunity
Awesome.
because
Yeah.
teachers have that limitation when they first start, great takes a little while to build up.
Mhm.
And we had quite a few changes in primary this year, so sure those teachers support just that.
Any other questions? Comments on new business? Any motion to approve new business? A through. Okay, yeah. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carried. And 8. Now, 8, we have a couple of additions and questions there. We have an addition to PM school. Those appointments for, I think everybody's got a copy of that. Should we listen here on I? And that was address that MOA.
Sure, Kara, can you explain what sharing the teaching assistant part of it is really aid for the library?
Yes, so the position that's being created is 7 hours per day. You'll see that the salary schedule in the MOA says 6 hours per day. However, that's based on the hourly rates of the salary schedule. So it's really illustrative. For example, we have teacher aides, student aides. Some are 6 hours a day, some are 6.5, some are more. They all get paid off the same salary schedule. So the salary will be adjusted based on the hourly rate. Thank you.
So it will be 7 hours.
Yes.
It will be 7 hours.
Any other questions? Comments on 8 person?
I already expressed my concerns on J.
We have a motion to A through P. I don't know, who did it down there? Mr. Webanero. Second?
Second.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Library assistants.
Okay. All in favor? Anyone opposed?
I oppose J.
We have to pull out J. Vote on it separately. So we'll go back and have a motion to approve 8A through P with the exception of J. Mr. Rosero. Second. Second, Mrs. Mitchell. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion to approve 8J. Motion. Motion, Mrs. Mitchell. Second, Mrs. Graves. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. Motion carried. 6-1. Okay, old unfinished business, mural recognition and discussion. Had a little discussion.
So, at this particular point, after Greg brought the mural to me and shared it with us, we talked about this, where do we go from here? I wanted to let you know, I also met with the administrative team, to work, we'll walk around the district, trying to figure out where is the best location for this. Again, I just want to give you an opinion, certainly not to sway you in any way, if you have a different thought or process on it. We looked at two places, because the mural is a picture of what was the district. We thought that maybe in this case, maybe moving it over to the district, near the district office. We looked at the wall, this wall between these windows, and we also looked at the wall where it says district office, on the brick wall outside of my office, looking out towards the driveway. And as the leadership team, we felt that that was the best place underneath the words district office, and that would be underneath it. Neither one of them are any better in regards to coverage, if you will, in regard, there's no protection more than that, but Mr. Badger assured me that this is the same work, right, Greg, that you did on other murals that are out in the weather.
Yeah, it has the same sealant on it, so it's all weather.
I hadn't thought of the one district deal. The one I liked here was because people come and pay their taxes. That was my only thought. People come and pay their taxes, they have to walk by this area. Oh, yeah. Oh, lots of people. There's a sidewalk out there.
Wearing on every day.
What's that?
Because they wearing on every day.
I know. I mean, I've come up
I
with
know you would do that.
yeah. And people are walking up that area to go and do it. I think you can have a bench out there. Yeah. So my only thought was putting it there would be seen by the taxpayers. That's all. I don't know. But the district, I'm trying to picture where it is in Europe.
If it fits under the name of the school.
District
or the
office.
District office, I think it would be very appropriate. In order to pay your taxes, you still have to drive right by it to go around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going this way.
So it also is that place where all of our secondary high school students.
Oh, they go in. Yeah.
They go in the door there, so our families will see it as they drive around.
So I'm trying to think, there's Olivia's window.
So it's between Olivia's window and this
And
corner of
this-
the
Yeah,
building.
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
There is it says district office, there's maybe underneath that.
Yeah.
But again, what
No, it's
we'd really
good.
like to do is get the board's direction. And then what we'd like to do is try to plan we have to either hurry to plan it or come up with an unveiling of it type of a thing, which we may have to do prior to the weather changing drastically, and then have it installed out there, so we can still do something in here. So that was our hope. So if there's any questions on that? Or
No, and a lot of
thoughts?
people see it as they walk down to the upper bowl too.
That's it. Season for sports.
So is everybody, I guess we're going to vote on that particular, I guess the motion would be
Motion to approve the mural placement under the words district office. Motion, Mrs. Mitchell, second, Mrs. Booth, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll work on more information, get back to you. Credit will go up and all that good stuff.
Okay, the bridge renovation plan is presented to us. Any questions on that? Kind of broad and general.
It is pretty broad in general, sometimes
So that's where I'm like, we've done it 3 years running now, so it's, I don't think it's moving the needle where we want it to. So it's not, that's not necessarily bad, but it seems like it's not enough. And so I would love for us to do more. I mean, specifically, NISBA offers a ton of training year-round, online and present. CBS does regular cadence sessions in their Glasgow Conference Center, and frankly, the board has historically low attendance to those. So I would love for us to have a role that's a little more tailored to that, of getting that training and education in outside in pre-COVID. Again, I think it continues to be there, and we score low, and it just doesn't seem like it's up to that. Goal number 4, I think, is a little bit of a mix of both. So it just feels like superintendent duties and the state and as such, as district responsibilities, as far as community input, maybe something that just more teeth in action.
We've had these out here for a couple of months, so now we're gonna go back in and do some more reviews on these. Those goals are taken directly from the indicators. That's why they are stated that way. Okay, goals are taken directly from the indicators. You know, you can certainly tweak the objectives,
I think that's my concern is with the objectives, is how we.
because the goals are taken from the
We're
indicators.
not, I don't think these necessarily like move the needle on those goals personally. So if the intention tonight is on the overall goals, great. If the intention, I think similar to like concerns faced with the administration team anytime they put goals in front of us is like, you know, where are the outcomes and the tangible things that are going to get us there? I don't feel like the objectives and the way that we're setting this for the board are necessarily going to achieve the outcomes that we're seeking.
Okay, do you have suggestions for changes?
So I think like putting an objective out there, explicitly getting some number of board members, or each board member some number of trainings each year outside of just the annual training. Again, there's a ton of content from this, that's CBS and Medicaid. That's an opportunity to take on. As far as goal monitoring.
Some of those webinars and so on, we did have that as a goal last year, you know, with attending a couple.
It was general, but you have
Yeah.
options.
That would actually speak to that goal.
Yeah, and then
Narrow
and they
it to
get,
this.
like they rank there's sites and points, and so you get some getting so many points in education areas, and it's an objective, right? So it's not.
Do we need to have, before our November meeting, a little bit of a workshop in tweaking some of these? Okay, we could have, yeah. And then some suggestions to tweak some of these, because we have had these out for a couple of months, to take a look at them. And then, as I said, the goal part of it, goal monitoring, setting and so on, those are taken, word for word in the indicators. Yeah, so then the objectives were ones that are suggestions from super eval, so we certainly can tweak those.
We can, living at work to create a workshop for the board prior to.
To the November. Yep.
So we want to just table.
Postpone to set up a workshop to, motion to postpone the board objectives to have a work session prior to the November meeting. Second? Mrs. Mitchell, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, municipal cooperation agreements.
Just
Any
to
questions or anything on that?
clarify, you had asked me
Yeah, where we were on that. It's the health insurance.
Take it up.
Yeah, it's the health insurance.
It's one of those situations where it's becoming our own funded, consortium for health insurance. And it's really, right now, this first step is prescription drugs. So this is a step we need to take in that direction.
Any other questions on that?
I'll just share at the leadership and education
self-insured for our employment plan. Yeah, so we've done that for years.
Just as a district.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, motion? Motion, Mrs. Mitchell? Second, Mr. Romero, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. And now we are at policy 5420. And that was, we had first reading on this one. Any questions? Yeah, any questions? I think we cleared this with our school advisors.
Yep.
Okay, motion.
Community members that raise concerns about this are satisfied with the correction, so that's good.
Yes.
Also share about that.
Okay, motion? Motion. Motion, Mrs. Mitchell, second. I don't know which one came from, Mrs. Crew. Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 9,000 policies. We've kind of cleaned these up. If you were to take a quick look at them, they're not pretty consistent with what NISBA has recommended.
Does this, when we do dispatch, does that complete the number? Because we have some 9,000 students from Christmas, is that?
This is a first reading, we do first reading and adoption.
So this is just a first reading tonight.
There's no rush for these, so that's why we're first reading them.
Okay,
So
Any
we're
questions?
all done with all of them, one cleans. So motion that actually gets rid of it and makes some things in the future, but we're not like there yet.
Sorry, I was trying to jump the gun. There's so many here.
there are. But we've taken NISBA's recommendations and gone through them. So any other questions or anything? Motion to approve first reading of 9,000. Motion, Mrs. Mitchell, second, Mrs. Graves, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. And then we go into the other these,
Yeah, these are also first reading.
readings of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 6,000.
There were some periods of time we needed to still work on these, we got
Yep.
to a first reading stage, and then next time, 9s, 1s, 2s,
Yep.
3s, and 6s.
And they're pretty regular ones that NISBA has recommended. So.
And special thanks to the board members and communities that are working on this. It's a lot of looking at, commenting, giving their feedback on it, and then we work to get them to a place where they're ready. So,
Any other questions or anything? A motion to approve 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 6,000 students. Motion, Mrs. Mitchell. Second, Mrs. Graves. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ready for public comment? Don't need an executive session. So, motion to adjourn.
Can I just, do we know when our next meeting's gonna be
Oh.
next month?
November. Didn't we just approve that? November
It's like consent calendar, so it'll be November
4th.
the first.
It is the first Tuesday.
And
Yeah.
like I said, I did update our calendar, so.
November 4th, okay? And then we'll probably meet a little ahead of time to fix the objectives.
On the board.
On the 4th.
Well, so I would do all the
We audit committee that night, Jared? Probably 5. 5 on the audit?
They anticipate half an hour for the internal auditor, half an hour for the external, so.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, that's right, that's what you